Hello drama lovers, welcome back to K-pop world. That night didn't seem special. The sky over Beijing was dark as usual, with wind brushing through leaves and streets slick with a quiet drizzle. But inside a grand room, full of crystal lights, cameras, and the steady footsteps of men in black suits, something was happening. Something that would change the conversation around global entertainment for a long time. An annual awards ceremony, usually just another routine night for top celebrities. But this year was different, not because of who attended, but because of two familiar names that quietly resurfaced. Not for a joint project, not for a new drama. They returned as winners. Not just any title, but the one most often debated. A title colored by harsh criticism, fierce competition, and sometimes blind hatred. The most handsome artists of 2025. And the two names announced silenced the entire room. Even the camera shook. Wang Yibo Xiao Zhan. Many couldn't believe it. Most held their breath, thinking it was a mistake or perhaps a brief filler segment. But the announcement was clear. Their names were displayed in bold golden letters across the screen. Orchestral music burst through the air like a quiet explosion in the night sky. And their faces, broadcast across the world, filled the quiet spaces in the hearts of fans who had long prayed for this moment. Wang Yibo stood tall in a simple black jacket, his expression cold as always, but his eyes slightly shifted toward the audience, toward a point that couldn't really be explained. Meanwhile, Xiao Zhan, dressed in a soft gray suit, lowered his head as if trying to hide something fragile at the edge of his eyes. And the world knew this wasn't just another victory. The news spread like wildfire across platforms in China, Korea, and even international communities that had long followed their journey. But it wasn't just about their faces. That would be too shallow, too small to contain what this truly meant. What stunned the world was the long history that brought them here. A history not printed in magazines, but remembered in the hearts of fans who had silently watched their pain through a screen. A few years ago, their names nearly vanished, swallowed by rumors, smothered by public pressure, silenced for shining too brightly, standing too close, standing out too much. But they never truly disappeared. They just took a few steps back and waited. Waited for a moment like this. A moment when the world would finally admit that their presence was no accident. The awards ceremony itself moved swiftly. One by one, the panel announced nominees from different countries, Korean actors, Japanese stars, even Hollywood faces. Cameras zoomed in, lights flashed. But then the music changed and the lighting softened. And many felt it. Something was coming. And then it did. The host's voice lowered. For the first time in history, this award goes to two names simultaneously. Two names that cannot be separated by anything. And then, Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan. No hugs. No dramatic tears. Just a look. Yibo walked slowly toward Xiao Zhan. In front of thousands of people, he did only one thing. He reached out his hand and held us tight, as if to say, finally, we're standing here. Again, one of the cameras caught a subtle expression on Xiao Zhan's face, known for his calm demeanor and well-guarded emotions. But that night, he trembled. And when he spoke into the microphone, his voice was quiet but clear enough to make fans cry. Thank you to those who believed in me, even when I couldn't believe in myself. Those words cut deep, not because they were theatrical, but because they were real. Fan reactions were overwhelming. They immediately posted collages tracing the two artists' journey from the very beginning, from uncertain debuts to behind-the-scenes moments secretly recorded by fans. They called it more than a visual win. It was proof that sincerity never loses, no matter how many rumors, fake scandals, or mindless hatred. One face that captivates the camera, and one that quietly heals hearts, a fan wrote on Twitter. It's not because they're perfectly symmetrical, but because their eyes always tell a story. Fanbase accounts from the Philippines, Thailand, and Brazil went live with emotional reactions, some in tears. Even new international fans, unfamiliar with the duo, admitted they were drawn in by that moment. Drawn to something raw, something honest. It was a victory that quietly restored belief, not only in the idols themselves, but in a value nearly lost in entertainment: authenticity. Now that it's all been said and done, with the spotlight fading and guests leaving the venue, one question lingers. Will they reunite in a major project? Or was this a fleeting reunion, a brief crossing of paths before going their separate ways again? There's been no official statement from either agency, but whispers have already begun. Rumors of a Chinese-Korean co-production, possibly featuring the two. One well-known director even remarked, "If these two faces aren't placed in a story together, that's an artistic crime." Fans have started creating dreamcasts, fanfics, and edited trailers for an imaginary drama called The Last Light Before Dawn, featuring childhood wounds, complicated friendships, and love buried for 10 years. Truth is, we don't yet know what the future holds. But one thing is certain. That night, in front of millions, the world quietly wrote history. Two names once blurred by scandal were now recognized in the light. And if you watched the broadcast carefully, you may have caught 1 second, a single, unnoticed moment. After the show ended, as the crowd trickled out, Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan walked toward the exit. Not side by side, but not far apart. Halfway there, Yibo turned his head, almost as if to make sure. Xiao Zhan saw him, and smiled just slightly. That smile didn't make it into the media clips, but it made it into the hearts of those who had waited. To you, who've watched their journey from the start. To you, who stood by them in silence when the world turned its back. To you, who believe beauty is more than surface. That night was yours too, because not all heroes carry swords. Sometimes they walk through pain and heal themselves in silence. So what do you think? Is this the end of the long tale between Wang Yibo and Xiao Zhan? Or is this just the beginning of a new chapter? Drop your thoughts in the comments, and make sure to subscribe so you won't miss the next update. We'll keep following their journey, quietly, with open hearts. See you in the next video, only on K-Pop World.